Cloud, and we're broadcasting. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jim Grant. The messages of inspiration, hope, and support. This is our 56th or 57th episode. We do so many of them, I just lose count. But most importantly, we've got three wonderful speakers with you today. And I'd like to share my screen to share with you who brings the messages of inspiration, hope, and support to us. And that is the speakerspathway.com. And let me show you real quickly a little bit about speakerspathway.com, if I may. This is our homepage. And we have complimentary gifts, and we have TEDx training, free training there. But the messages of inspiration, hope, and support, the speakers that do their presentations here. You can see right here, we got three of the speakers there. Just click on more. And each individual presentation is here. We have them here on our website at speakerspathway.com. And you can see the individual presentations there. We have, as you see down here at the bottom, pages and pages and pages and pages of these folks. Let me click on page number 10. We'll just pick out somebody here. And let's see. Yeah, we'll just pick on Denise there. You click on Denise's picture. And there's her presentation. And here's a little bit of information about each individual speaker. So please go to speakerspathway.com, check out the messages of inspiration, hope, and support. Most importantly, when you find someone that's gave a great presentation and it really means a lot to you, share it with others, and also get in touch with that speaker and let them know that you really enjoyed their message. I know they would greatly appreciate that. In addition to that, we're also the home of the 6-minute webinar. That's sixminutewebinar.com. If you'd like to have a presentation that's only about 6 minutes long, from the beginning to the end, including a call to action without boring people to death, this is it. This is where you need to be. So let me get going here. I got to bring a young lady up here and give her the spotlight. And there she is. How are you doing this morning?
I am doing great. Thank you for asking, and thank you for having me on your show.
Well, Dr. Mahdavi, it's our pleasure to have you here on the show because you're going to be talking to us about surviving a viral pandemic. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct, yes.
Good deal. Let me cut off a few cameras here and do a little of that techie stuff that normally the producer does behind the scene for me, and I get kind of lazy and don't do it. But let me do two things. Let me cut off my camera and mute my mic, and the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining the show. And my name is Dr. Atusa Mahdavi. I practice holistic medicine in Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, and Orange County, California. I have been practicing holistic medicine for the last 25 years in a clinical setting, hands-on clinical setting. And I help people achieve their vitality, longevity, and optimal health through natural medicine. So the tools that I use are Ayurvedic medicine, functional medicine, yoga therapy, and mindset practices. I believe that health and wellness requires a holistic approach, and it's an ongoing process in which you look at your lifestyle, you look at your daily routines, you look at certain healthy habits and rituals like exercise, yoga, meditation, breath work. We look at your diet. And in that sense, it's a mind, body, spirit approach because we are all of that. We are not just the body, we're not just the mind, we're not just the spirit. So we need to have a holistic approach. Now, what got me started on this path, when I was up to the age of 4, when I was growing up, meaning when I was born all the way to 4 years old, our grandparents lived in the same house as we did from my mother's side. And I got very close to my grandpa, and we were very close, and he used to feed me. I was like always a lot of times home with my grandparents alone. And I loved him. It was a wonderful bond, very close to each other. And one morning when I was 4 years old, I saw my family in his room, and he was laying on his bed and he was motionless. So to make the story short, he had passed away. But as a 4-year-old, I had no understanding of what's going on. Nobody told me what's going on. And that sense of loss without any explanation and the fact that we can die brought this awareness about life, health, death. And this deep sense of curiosity made me want to learn and made me want to know what's going on with the human body, what's going on with health, what causes death, what causes disease. So things like that kept on happening as I was growing up. Then my grandma, who had rheumatoid arthritis, I would watch her as she would rub her joints with these ointments, take her medication. And I was 6 years old, and I would ask her if, what's going on and if I could help her. Then I would just get the cream and rub her hands, rub her joints and her body. And pretty soon she would be asking for it. And later on, my dad lifted up the same grandma because she had to go to a hospital, etc., and threw out a disc. By this time, I was 12 years old. And so then I was working on my dad, on his back, walking on his back, using my hands, etc. So when I was in college and had to decide what I was going to study, I picked chiropractic because it really resonated with me. But as a chiropractor, as I was getting all kinds of patients with all kinds of ailments, I realized that chiropractic wasn't enough. So then I went and I got certified in functional medicine and integrative medicine, which is nutrition based on blood work and diet. It's a holistic approach. And then later on, a health condition, I had developed neck pain as a result of, I guess, chiropractic, but there was an emotional component to it. I discovered yoga. So I started practicing yoga and went to India. So in my journey took me to India, where I learned about Ayurvedic medicine. As I was getting certified as a Hatha Yoga teacher, I learned about Ayurvedic medicine. So when I came back to the US, I went back to school, studied Ayurveda for 3 years. By this time, I was a master Hatha Yoga teacher. So all of these tools in my toolbox gave me this complete package of being able to address the body, the mind, and the spirit. And it's been very effective. Now, going back to my sense of curiosity as a 4-year-old, when I lost my grandpa, this realization of our mortality during the pandemic has become really apparent. We have realized our mortality. There is fear, there is uncertainties, there is economical stress, there is stress socially, family-wise, as we bunker down in our homes and we're socially distancing and we're not going to work, financial difficulties, etc. And that stress and that fear emotionally and mentally can actually worsen our immune system. What is interesting is that you don't hear any medical authority on the news talk about your immune system. You don't hear anybody talk about your health. And the fact that most people who are dying from COVID-19 and this viral pandemic have comorbidities, they have secondary conditions. They are already sick with some underlying chronic condition. But nobody talks about prevention, and nobody talks about how someone with a healthy immune system, someone who doesn't have diabetes, someone who doesn't have hypertension, and other chronic conditions, autoimmune diseases, asthma, etc., can actually catch the flu and get rid of it, meaning overcome it and heal from it. So how do we survive a viral pandemic? The way we survive a viral pandemic is the way we survive a health pandemic. We've been having a health pandemic for decades in this country because our healthcare system is really not a healthcare system. It's a sick care system. You wait until you have some sickness or ailment, and then you go to doctors and they simply give you pills or offer a vaccine, etc. But nobody talks about a healthy diet. Nobody is looking at how your lifestyle can help you prevent not only from chronic conditions, but also a virus, or even if you catch a virus, that you can actually survive it. So what you want to do is to make sure that your daily routines are set, that you set aside the time to exercise. Exercise can enhance your immune system. It can lower the stress hormones. And by lowering the stress hormone, it helps you cope better. It helps you be at an optimal level physiologically, hormonally speaking, when we talk about cortisol as a stress hormone. That can reduce oxygenation in your circulation when you have too much cortisol. It can also increase your blood pressure, which by itself is a problem. And we know that this COVID-19 causes hypoxia, lowered level of oxygen. And so if you do not exercise, if you stay up at night late and stay in bed late, you're throwing out your circadian rhythm, which has a lot to do with the levels of cortisol, with the levels of melatonin. And by the way, melatonin, if you supplement low dosages of melatonin, enhances your immune system. It inhibits the virus SARS-CoV-2, or known as COVID-19, not to bind to your cell receptors, ACE2 receptor. So melatonin, vitamin C, vitamin D3, zinc, and selenium, there is ample research showing that it causes inhibition of replication of the virus, as well as inhibition of the proteins on the virus to attach to ACE2 receptor, which is basically the receptor on the human healthy cell that causes the virus to enter and basically insert its RNA and hijack the immune system. So it is really important for you to be supplementing with vitamin C every day, 2,000 milligrams for adults at least. If you have symptoms, you need to up that dosage to 4,000 to 6,000. This will help your immune system. It's not a cure, it helps your immune system. Vitamin D3, up to 2,000 IU of vitamin D3 can also help the immune system. It is a proven fact. Zinc and selenium, same thing. Melatonin. Now, quercetin is a supplement, but it's a bioflavonoid, is found in plants. So vegetables like red onion, apples, grapes, and blueberries, these are very high in the levels of quercetin. So have more of a plant-based diet. Try to get organic. If you eat 2 meals a day during a pandemic, alternate fasting, first meal between 10 to 11, second meal between 5 to 7, and a healthy snack like fruits in between. Go to bed by 10 p.m. Wake up by no later than 7. This is where cortisol starts to go up, melatonin starts to come down. And so if you want more information, you can also go to my website, yourvitalitydoctor.com, and there is a free gift there that you can download on the website. Your free gift, there is a tab, you can download that, and it will talk about daily routines. It will talk about diet in the free gift. It's an ebook. So Your Vitality Doctor is spelled out, yourvitalitydoctor.com. You could have some resources there, and you could also contact me for a free consultation. And again, understanding that health is about prevention, that a healthcare is different from sick care, that your whole life has to be about having a lifestyle that is supportive of health and wellness, and that it is a lifelong commitment, a lifelong process, like eating less sugar, eating less refined foods, refined breads and carbohydrates. Now, vegetables, fruits, these are good for you. Lowering your levels of meat consumption, not completely getting rid of, but lowering the levels, making sure it's grass-fed. Again, if you need to contact me, yourvitalitydoctor.com. My name is Dr. Atusa Madavi. You can also contact my office, 310-289-9770 for a free 20-minute strategy health consultation. It was lovely to be here, and I wish you all the blessings and health and wellness. You need to take care of yourself and not fear, and don't have any fear. Don't be stressed out. You can take care of your body, and it will take care of you.
Wow, that was a very powerful message. I really enjoyed that. And I mean, I really liked what you said about, the being holistic, because that's extremely important. Because medicine, normally they treat the cause, or, they don't, not the cure. And we've learned a lot about being holistic, even in with our pets, because we're keeping our son's dog with us. He's a, single guy in the Army and all that, pull multiple tours of duty. But his dog has congestive heart failure.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to the traditional medicine, we've also got him on some of the holistic care, because we've found holistic vets. And that has really been a blessing for him, because we're able to maintain a good quality of life. And I have to give him injections every day. And of course, I'm getting pretty good at that. He didn't, it's just under the skin, just pop it in there. But it's not something that I want to do, but it's something I have to do for him. But it's really, we're so ignorant in this country about natural cures. And I find it ironic. Yeah. A lot of people don't know that I did a 10-year study into the world of herbs and
Oh, wow.
and medicines. And I tell people, when you're doing something with the holistic, it's different than an herb. You only do one holistic at a time. And doctor, you may want to correct me on this in case I'm in error, so please do, okay? You want to use one holistic treatment at a time, not two. The reason why one can cancel out the other, and plus you don't have any track record to know whether or not you're making any headway. Mm-hmm. Now, we give him cactus, and we give him 5 flowers for, help him, rest and all that stuff, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. Because it's a supplement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so everything is has its own place, but in Ayurveda, traditionally, Ayurveda has been around for thousands of years, and in Chinese medicine as well. There is proven studies, meaning not only thousands of years, but even now, researchers, there are medicinal classical formulations that are a combination of multiple herbs, but it's considered one medicine, mm-hmm. even though it's a combination of different herbs. But these are tested and tried Ayurvedic classical formulas that are basically combining several herbs that in terms of their qualities and their effects on the system, they work synergistically. Mm-hmm. And in that sense, if a professional is helping you, especially about herbs, you want to make sure they know what they're doing, because what you said is also true. Sometimes 2 different types of herbs may not synergistically work with each other, and they may cancel each other out. But it really depends on the herb. It really depends on the supplement. So there is definitely truth to that.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Like one of the herbs I found out, it says it was nettle, stinging nettle.
Yes.
And they said one of the things it will do is help return the hair color. Well, so that was turned on about that. So, but one thing I did, and I encourage people to do this, I had a good doctor that I could run in there and have his nurse just check my blood pressure, see how I'm doing and all that. Well, all of a sudden my blood pressure started going up and up and up and up. And I'm going, well, what's going on here? And then I started my research and started looking at why. And it says in some cases, stinging nettle can elevate the blood pressure. Yeah. So I stopped taking stinging nettle. My hair started, losing its color. And my blood pressure dropped. So I figured, well, okay, I can live with that.
Well, of course, yeah. So that's another thing. See, in Ayurveda, everybody is treated individually. And if someone has a lot of fire in their system, which also makes them prone to high blood pressure, certain herbs aren't given, or certain herbs aren't given in the same dosage. So that's the beauty of Ayurveda, that you, for example, just looking at you from the screen, I feel like you have a lot of fire element, just like in Chinese medicine. Yes. And so Even certain yogic practices may increase the blood pressure if it's given inappropriately to someone with a lot of fire. So the beauty of Ayurveda, and when I discovered it in India, is because suddenly it opened up this new window that everybody has to be treated as a unique constitution. So a constitutional diet, even herbs are given constitutionally. If someone has a lot of fire and water together, that's pitta. And pitta is prone to high blood pressure. So certain herbs that are heating in nature, they will have a tendency to, if given in wrong dosage or in wrong combination or wrong person, can increase blood pressure. Just like certain breathing techniques can increase blood pressure in people with a lot of fire. Now, conversely, if you give it to a person with a lot of earth and water, it is amazing for them. They need that. You need to elevate their fire element. And so that is why it shouldn't be, like, medicine should not be one size fits all. It should not be. And that's why a lot of people find these fads on the internet and they go try it. And some people have success with it. Some people have no success, but some people suffer from it. Different types of diet. You know, it was Atkins diet, then it's keto diet. Now it's, you know, paleo diet, this diet, that diet. There is one diet that works for you. And you have to work with a professional and listen to your own intuition. Some of us are more intuitive than others. And so it is always about your unique characteristic, your unique needs and constitution.
You're exactly right. Because I tell people, I encourage them, I said, if you're going to do something, first thing you do is go to your doctor, have blood work and all that done, lab tests, so you got a foundation. And that way you know where you're starting from. And I love what you said there, because I tell people that just because you see something advertised on TV, please don't run to it, because what's good for the goose is not good for the gander. And I tell the story, I think I've got enough time to share this story, which is true. Back in the early 80s, there was a huge garlic kick in this country. And I refused to take it because everybody was, running around with weasel breath, I've been taking garlic. Excuse me. I'm like, oh man, please get away from me, And my wife had found some garlic that had some rose, I don't know what it was on it, back in the 80s, but didn't have the bad breath and all that. So we, she wanted to try it. So, keep peace in the family. I went along with it. About the same time, I started taking the garlic. I got some flea and tick collars from my dogs. And I broke out in a big rash on my neck. So my bird brain is telling me, okay, I must have got some of the chemical off of those collars underneath my fingernails, and I scratched my neck because I broke out in a big red rash. I mean, my skin got thick and it just really itched. And my wife said, "Why don't you stop taking the garlic too?" Because it might have been it. Well, I'd heard all these wonderful things about garlic. It couldn't be that, could it? So I stopped taking the garlic. A few days later, my neck was all cleared up and everything. I started taking the garlic again. Same thing.
Yes.
So that's why I warn people, what's good for the goose is not necessarily good for the gander.
And see, again, not to interrupt you, because you have a lot of fire, garlic is very heating. So people with a lot of fire are prone to rashes, by the way. You have a lot of fire, you're prone to rashes. Now, if you eat something heating like stinging nettle and garlic, if you do too much of it for too long, you'll have a rash, or you have a heating symptom, blood pressure, a rash, etc.
That makes sense.
Yes. So it is so true. And you said something about get your blood test as a foundation. That's the beauty of functional medicine, which I do. I've been doing functional medicine for 18 years. We do the nutrition based on blood work. 52 blood markers are tested to have a baseline of where you are functionally. And so that's the base from where we start to build on. And that is really important as well. And so knowing how much inflammation you have in your system, and that is C-reactive protein, CRP, which is included in our functional blood test, estimated sedimentation rate. ESR, that's another inflammatory marker. So you always want to be on top of your lab work. Like, I know a lot of medical doctors aren't running a comprehensive test. You always want to know what's the level of inflammation in your system, especially if they tell you have high cholesterol, for example. High cholesterol by itself, and recently, there was a medical journal that also published just having a high cholesterol is not necessarily the worst thing. And we've known this in holistic medicine, that having a high cholesterol by itself is not the worst thing that can happen. It could be just the dietary thing that day that you went and you got your test. It could also be as a result of the body repairing itself. Whenever tissue repair is going on, LDL or total cholesterol as well as LDL can be high. The key is whether or not you have a high HDL, which is the good cholesterol. And the key is also whether or not you have inflammation in your system. Have your CRP checked. If you have no inflammation in your system and you're on a good diet, you're not having all kinds of starches with meat, not that combination is not good. If you have a lot of sugar with meat, that's not a good combination. And so you have to really look at the whole picture and have your blood work, a complete blood work, including inflammatory markers. So
at one time, my total cholesterol had gotten up to 266 total count, and I got it down to 173, and I did it with diet and drinking a lot of water.
Exactly.
And that was the two things, and that's a lot more safer and a lot more effective than anything else.
Absolutely.
I could talk to you for the rest of the day, and I know you got things to do. And poor Philip, he's wondering, like, when are these guys, especially that old guy, when's he going to hush? But let me get a chance to cut on Philip's mic there, unmute him, and give him a chance to turn on his video. Are you there? Hey, sir, sorry to keep you waiting, but we got involved in
listening. That was because I love health and everything related to it. So it's a pleasure to listen to such an expert. So I was enjoying it.
Well, thank you, because the information she was sharing was so spot on. My goodness gracious. And before I turn the stage over to you, Doctor, would you be kind enough to give your website and how people can get in touch with you, please?
Yes. So you could go to my website, yourvitalitydoctor.com. So the doctor is fully spelled out, yourvitalitydoctor.com. And you could also contact the office if you want to get a free 20-minute health strategy consultation on the phone, 310-289-9770. And there is also a free gift on the website that you can download. It's daily routines, general dietary guidelines, etc.
Well, thank you so much. After we visit with Philip, I'm gonna, if you're still able to be with us, I'll cut the mic back on. But right now we've kept Mr. Philip waiting for a long time. You're gonna be talking about becoming fearless. And brother, I can't wait to hear your message. So let me do a couple things here. Let me give you the spotlight, and let me shut off a couple of videos here. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Good help's hard to find around here, especially when it comes to me. Now, let me shut off my video and mute my mic, and the stage is yours.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. I'm very excited and very grateful to have the opportunity to share my message with all of you. And thank you very much for those of you that are here and putting the time and putting the attention into myself. My name is Philip. I help professionals to become fearless about speaking by going through a proven 3-step process. And now, in order for me to actually share how I do it and how I create the process throughout these 9 years, that I believe been one of the best or one of the most effective process to turn someone that fears public speaking into a very effective speaker. In order for me to explain it, I need to kind of share my own story. As you can hear through my accent, I'm not an English speaker as a native speaker. I'm all the way from Lisbon, Portugal, and my background is health and fitness industry. So the very first time I was introduced to public speaking was through the health and fitness industry. So this was back in 2011. And I want to share this story because it's a very important story. It will relate with a lot of you that fear speaking to an audience. So back in 2011, I have all this knowledge about health and fitness and how to lose weight, how to become healthier and more energy, and everything that people look for in a health state. But the problem was two problems. Number one, I did not speak the English language good enough to speak to an audience. And number two, I was extremely nervous and I was scared to not being good enough. Now, the outcome of that same presentation was a disaster. It honestly was a disaster. A lot of people left halfway through because they couldn't understand what I was saying. And at the end, a lot of people went to complain. So I actually ended up having problems because the presentation was so poor. Now, this was obviously not a good experience, but at the same time, because I went through, I was able to understand that if I could learn and if I could adapt my own personality and my own knowledge to a presentable way, I could make it. So I decided obviously to get the right coaching, to learn from people that they know what they're doing and they coaching others to become good speakers. So I have been doing this for many years. So today is already 9 years that I've been speaking to people, to 100 people, or in a physical stage, or to in thousands of people in a virtual room like now. Now, when I understood how I was doing, how based on people's coaching, based on what my own way of doing things, I put together a process that I tried on other people to see if this process would only work with me or could work with anyone. And I was extremely surprised that very easy and very effectively others could apply it and have an outcome very fast. So this is how I then shift my direction and started to working with people, helping them to become effective speakers. I focus massively on fear because that is the number one fear worldwide. And I do work with people that are corporate professionals and they need to present to the corporate team or they need to have sales pitch. And I do as well work with entrepreneurs, brand new, for example, startups that need to speak to investors. So this process I designed is a 3-step process, is massively effective. And I'm very excited that I will share with you. And here it goes. Number one, in order for you to understand how to eliminate fear of public speaking, you have to understand the fear itself as a reaction, as a physical reaction in our body. Fear is an instinct reaction that our body has from the brain decision when we go into a new scenario, something that our brain does not recognize, something that is brand new. So if you fear of the dark, for example, you have the same physical reactions that you would have if you fear speaking to an audience, or if you fear, for example, a specific animal. The fear is the same. You cannot really think properly. You think about your own self-protection. That's our instinct as the number one brain's function is to protect ourselves, survival. So every time we go into a new scenario, we always kind of fear, and depending where our background is and stories in the past, that can aggravate that same fear. So understanding that if I can turn something that is new for me, it turn into a familiar situation, then I gave a massive step to the fear loss. So let me break down very concisely how this 3-step works. How can I turn someone that fears public speaking into a very effective speaker in the shortest period of time in the most effective way? So take down your notes, because this is important. Step number one is your mindset preparation work. Step number two is your tailored strategy with the one move ready to be launched. And step number three is your script. And I'll break down each one of them. Let's go back to step one, which is your mind's preparation work. Inside the step one, there are 3 things you must do. Number one, massively important, is your self-diagnosis. You need to do a self-study and understand and decide what you are amazing at and decide what you are very bad at. We have to be honest and direct to ourselves to understand what I'm really good at, what I'm not good at all. And then what I'm going to do is I will leverage what I'm good at and I will hide what I'm not good at. Example, let's say I'm phenomenal with numbers and statistics. When I go and start my speech, and if I'm good in numbers, I will use some really key statistics related to the subject I'm about to talk or to share in my message. And this way, if the very first thing I do in my speech is to launch those numbers and connect it to the speech, to the subject, this will create two things. Number one, you're comfortable because you know you're good in numbers. And two, from the audience reaction, it will create a credibility image towards you. This is why you need to do your self-diagnosis, to use what you're amazing at. What you're not good at, you will hide it. You're not going to work on it. Plus, if you have short time to prepare for your speech, you're not going to work. You will just hide it. Leverage what you're amazing at. The step number two is your audience diagnosis. We need to understand exactly who we are going to speak to. It's not about how good I am delivering a message, it's how good these people are receiving my message. They will be as good as you can deliver to their own language. Meaning, we need to understand how they like to hear things. Are they direct people or not direct people? Do they like, are they more serious? Are they more funny people, more into jokes, more into extremely detailed statistics or database? You need to really adapt your message to them. Speak the way they like to hear. And this way, from their perspective, on a subconscious mind, they will feel comfortable listening to you. They will feel familiar as they're listening to you, equals to they will like you. So it's very, very important. You do your self-diagnosis and your audience diagnosis. And then step number three, inside the mind preparation work, this one is the foundation of all process. Remember, the fear comes from going to something new, something that your brain does not know, is not familiar. So it activates the instinct, self-protection, self-defense reaction. So when you prepare yourself for your speech, you need to, listen to this, you need to turn the unknown into the known. You need to turn what is not familiar into being familiar. In your brain, when you go for your speech in front of the audience, in front of, either in a physical room or a virtual room, it's exactly the same. Your brain needs to feel that it's not the first time. So how do we do this? As you prepare yourself for the speech, as you practice, yes, you can practice with your family and friends. Yes, you can practice in front of the mirror, in your shower, while you drive. This is all good because you frame your speech in your brain. But it's not effective to create that familiarity for your brain, because it happens often. People are ready and they go into that speech, into that presentation 1-2 minutes before, just right before they go in, they will doubt about everything they practice. They think, what if I'm going to fail? What if I forget? What if they don't like me? Blah, blah. All of that is just because the brain, even if you practiced, you did not practice in a familiar scenario. Equals to the brain still, you can know the script, but you don't know what you're going to face. So there is that activation, self-protection reaction activated. Correcting myself here. So when you practice for your speech, you will try to create a scenario that is as similar as possible to the real scenario you'll face. If you go into a corporate room, you need to, in your preparation, to prepare yourself and practice your speech in a corporate room to corporate professionals. If you are speaking to investors, you need to somehow find a way to have investors in front of you listening while you practice. So this way, when you go into the speech, the real one, your brain feels familiar. Your brain knows what you're going to face in the next minute. So you're comfortable. You can be a little bit nervous, but you're not scared, not fear. So it does not block you like happens often. Does that make sense? So that's finish the step one. Remember, mind preparation work, self-diagnosis, audience diagnosis, and turning the unknown into known. Then goes step 2, which is the tailored strategy with the one move. Very important. Tailored strategy, you must have a game plan. You cannot just go and speak randomly about what you like and what your message is. You have to have a tailored strategy. Tailored because it's for that specific audience. Remember, we did the audience diagnosis, so that will help us to craft our message to that specific audience. So this should be very, very effective sniper work. And the one move ready to be launched, I call this the one move ready to be launched, is a combination of the everything related to the subject plus the audience. There's always an angle that we can find, that we can touch, that has not been yet touched, and will create in the almost guarantee outcome a wow factor. The one move is to create the wow factor from the audience to you. This is so important. This is how you can almost guarantee that your speech will be massively successful. The outcome you want is almost guaranteed. It's through the one move. So I'll repeat this. You need to have a study of everything related to the subject. What's the outcome you want of that speech, and what's the audience and how they like to listen, and find that right angle that when you launch it throughout your speech, it creates the wow factor. That wow factor will lead to, at the end of your speech, the audience, they are with you. They love you. They think you are phenomenal. They will follow you. So they will do what you want them to do. Does that make sense? Step 2, tailored strategy. Remember, you have a tailored strategy with the one move ready to be launched. And then the last one, step 3, will be the script. The script is a tool, is something that you will have with you, similar to your GPS, that in any scenario, a question came in or an interruption came in, or for some reason you forgot, any scenario, you look at the script, is right there, you're comfortable, because if something happened, you can just look, okay, this is where I am, this is where I'm going next, and just go. Does that make sense? You will not be scared about forgetting what you need to say, because you have the script with you. Now, a couple of things about your script. Number 1, you must be the core brain, the core voice of your speech written. I see a lot of people, a lot of professionals have outsourcing the work of the speech, the written, the typing of the speech to someone else. They obviously save time, but it makes the speech not genuine to you. You can have someone, mentor, coach, a professional, helping you crafting the script, but you must be the core voice, the core brain of your script. Reason is, it has to be genuine from your heart, from your brain, from who you are as a person sharing the message you're sharing. Very important. The second thing about the script is, you don't want to be reading your script. As I said, is your tool right there with you. In case, if you need, you look at it, it's not a problem, reset yourself, keep on moving. Okay, very, very important. Have that tool with you, be the main brain, main heart that types the script down or create the script. Let's recap. Number 1, mind preparation work. 3 steps included: self-diagnosis, audience diagnosis, turning the unknown into known. This third one is massively effective, and it's something new and very unique to my own way of coaching people. Number 2, your tailored strategy with the one move ready to be launched. Remember that very unique angle that will lead to the wow factor. And number 3, your script. Be the person that writes the script, even with help, but you have to be the person to write the script and have it there with you to help you along your presentation. And that's it. I see many professionals that really, they fear the speaking, and then they look for help, and they get caught and lost in things like, should I move my hands? Should I walk this way, dress that way? Take all that noise down and focus in really what I just said. All right. I have a lot more detailed these steps I just shared with you in my website. You're more than welcome to go to it. It's goncalvesconsulting.com. I'll spell it for you. GONCALVES consulting, the word consulting.com. Repeat, GONCALVES consulting, all together. www.toovercomeglossophobic.com. And there you'll find a lot more in detail, and feel free to, because it's easy to find it, I normally, as an appreciation for the people that listen me somehow, somewhere, I get on a call, free strategy session to understand what your next speech, what's going on, what is your current situation, how would I adapt your speech or your strategy to make it very successful. Okay, thank you very much. It was a phenomenal pleasure. And again, eliminate the noise and focus on these 3 steps. It's a pleasure when I have the opportunity to share what I do for a living and how I help others, and how I turn this big fear into something that actually it's a blessing. All of us have a message. All of us want to share. I normally say to my clients, if you can speak or tell a story to your group of friends or to your family at a dinner table, you can be a speaker. You don't need a degree, you don't need none of that. You just need to have a message and have an audience and love that message and feel comfortable because you know about what you want to share. So thank you very much. Feel free to reach out to on my website, GONCALVS consulting.com, and I'll be more than happy to get in touch and to help you somehow.
Wow, thank you so very, very much. I tell you, that was a very powerful presentation. And I tell people all the time that, my goodness, you don't have to be, an elegant speaker or even good looking, because I prove that. And
no, Jim, but that's correct. That's this myth. They need
yeah.
to have a master degree, PhD degree.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yes.
Be 20 years of experience of something, none of that. You just need to be passionate what you want to say, have the knowledge, obviously, and have an audience to share that message with. And that's it. And obviously with the strategy, but that's all you need.
You're exactly right, because I tell people, 2 months from now, they're not going to remember what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel. And always
Correct.
talk to them from the heart, your message. Not everybody's going to be tuned into your message, and that's okay. Just like I get emails and texts every day about, would I like to lose 40 pounds? And I'm like, well, no, not unless I want to jump around the shower in the morning to get my exercise.
Correct.
But yeah, and also blend in humor. And I remember one time I forget where I was speaking at, but I got on stage there, and I was, tell the story that, yada, da, da, da. And for some of you young folks, you're not familiar with this story, because that was way back when I was young and good looking. And then I stopped and I said, what? I was young once. I'm not making this up. just to break the ice.
Correct. It's in you. You throughout this event today, you have said already some really good jokes, and you very likable person. You easily speak and smile easy, so it's in you. And that's why on the very first step I work with my clients is the self-diagnosis, like the self-work. What am I amazing at? What I'm really good at that I can use, that I'm comfortable with, and I can just use that to make my speech a good speech. And yeah, 100%. If you're good at humor, if you're good with a joke, use it, because people will like it and will see that it's natural from you.
Yeah, just be natural. And I love what you said about, about someone else writing your script, because then you become a human parrot, and you're going to be uncomfortable with that, and it's not you, and don't go there. And always speak like with a 6th grade, language, or I don't want to say a 6th grade education, but speak at the 6th grade level. That way, because a lot of speakers, they want to use these big fancy words and all these things, and it's not really, it loses the effectiveness. If you're trying to impress people, it backfires on you 100% of the time.
100%. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And we got to bring this young lady back, and because she's a very powerful speaker herself. She shared some great information with us. Asked to start the video. There we go, and unmute the mic. How about that? There she is. She's back with us. What I like about the guest here is that when they hear me talking, they don't fall asleep, and that just blesses my heart so much. Didn't have to wake her up or anything. There she is. But I tell you right now, Philip gave a great presentation about speaking, didn't he, Doc? You got my mic muted.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm talking to myself. I was muted. Yeah, I really enjoyed your talk, Philip.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah. yeah, it's a wonderful group of people, wonderful energy. Jim, you've created a great platform, you know,
Oh, thank
and
you.
giving us opportunity as speakers, teachers, educators, and also your audience receiving valuable information. So we
Well,
appreciate that.
well, thank you so much. It just comes back to the, the way I was brought up, you treat people like you want to be treated, and my dad always spoke in country English. He told me one time I got ready to leave home because I was going in the military. He said, son, remember one thing. If you don't want to be treated like a knucklehead, don't act like a knucklehead. I mean, he is, when you walked away from my dad, you didn't have to scratch your head and wonder, like, I wonder what he meant by that comment. He was just straight down the middle, And
Wonderful.
and you're from what part? You're from, would you say again where you're from, Philip?
Lisbon,
Originally?
Portugal. From Lisbon, Portugal. I
Portugal?
do travel a lot around. I mean, not now,
Right,
but because of this pandemic. But normally throughout the year, I do
right.
travel. I'm often in US territory
Mhm.
land, but yeah, I'm originally from Lisbon, Portugal. Is where I am now.
Good deal. Yeah, because it's really I love to hear people share information about how to overcome glossophobia. One time I
That's
gave a I gave a class on the fear of public speaking, and I says, ladies and gentlemen, you may not believe this, but one time I suffered from glossophobia. And I stopped and looked at them. They thought, like, is that catching or what? And that's a fear of public speaking. And that had happened to me back in the 5th grade. And I'm not going to get in a long, boring story here, but I'll just say my 5th grade was the worst year of my life when I was in school. I got more whippings that year than any other 3-year period combined because my teacher, every single thing that I did, she would tell her husband, because her husband worked on the same line crew at the power company my dad did. By the time it went through him that got to my dad, oh man, it wasn't even close to what I did in school. I tell you, that was a long year for me. But we had to give oral book reports and that, and I hated that. And I never could do anything right in her class. So that was a long year. Let me just say that.
No, unbelievable.
But
We've
I
all had one
survived.
of those years in elementary school.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I remember one of the worst times, and I'm telling a story here out of school, and I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to tell it anyway. One of my buddies had, hit me with a rubber band. Okay, so I used to be pretty good throwing a baseball. I didn't throw a baseball now. I didn't want to kill him, but I had a spitball. And just about the time she had her back turned, I wound up and let that thing go. About the time she turned around and bang, right upside of his head. It was a fireball, and she didn't see the first part of that. She just saw my reaction to it. And so, let me just say, it got explained to me very, very well. You don't do that in school.
I'm sure.
But ladies and gentlemen, we've had a lot of fun here today. We've shared a lot of great information. And before we go, Dr. Mahdavi, if you'd be so kind once again to share with the folks out there your website, how they can get in touch with you, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. So they can go to my website, yourvitalitydoctor.com. Doctor is spelled out, yourvitalitydoctor.com. And if you'd like to get a free strategy consultation, health strategy consultation, you can call the office 310-289-9770. And there is a free gift on my website as one of the tabs, your free gift. So you could download that and it will give you some good information about daily routines, diet, etc.
Well, thank you so much. And sir, Mr. Phillip, since you were so kind and waiting on us while we were gabbing away about all these health issues and everything from eating raw onions to whatever, would you be kind enough?
Holistic medicine, holistic health approach it's my way of doing as well. So
yes, sir.
I was lucky to be part of this, where I doctor here and I related a lot what she said. So it was a pleasure to do this.
Wonderful.
But would you be kind enough, sir, again, to share your website and how people get in touch with you?
Thank you very much once again. It was, listen, I'm laughing here. It was very enjoyable. You're very, very good in the way you put your speakers in a very relaxed scenario environment. So thank you for it.
Thank you.
The website is very simple. It's my last name. So GONCALVES goncalvesconsulting.com. So altogether, goncalvesconsulting.com. Very easily you'll see a button that says free case study. Now, this is where I go in detail on each of the steps. I break down very easily on my whiteboards and I explain everything so people can get really the full scenario on how to break each step into reality. And then as well, I give an option to a free strategy session. It's not a sales call. It's literally understanding where the person is, what's the scenario, and what would I do if it was me in that same scenario to create that effective speech. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, sir. And ladies and gentlemen, by just listening to Philip talk here, me being a professional presenter, radio show host, all these wonderful things, I can tell you he is spot on. So please get in touch with him. He's got some valuable information. He's a great trainer. I can see that as he explains himself. And Dr. Mahdavi, you talk about being spot on with all the information she shared with us about being healthy. Oh my goodness gracious. I mean, you know, she is just a walking encyclopedia, a library really of information. And so please get in touch with her when you're concerned about your health, your diet and everything. Please go to their websites respectively that they gave. Take full advantage of the opportunity that they offered you. And in closing, if it's your birthday, like I always like to say, happy birthday to you. And remember, on your birthday, don't let anybody kid you, because on your birthday cakes and all the special desserts that you love, they're health foods. So don't cheat yourself. Enjoy yourself. You can, you know, fast next week sometime, you know, but the day's your birthday. Have a happy birthday. Bless you. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.